How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? The Bulls have a game later today taking on the Pistons. Hopefully, we see them snapping that 5-game losing streak against one of the worst teams in the league, although the Pistons have been playing better basketball. But aside from the game today, you guys know it's Wednesday, and every Wednesday I feature a series on your Bulls hot takes and your would you rathers, and this week we'll be going over your Bulls hot takes. Also, in case you missed it, I put out a poll yesterday both on the community tab on YouTube as well as on Twitter, asking for your guys' feedback on whether you felt Zach Lavine should get a max contract, as I'm planning to make a video about that topic tomorrow. So get your vote in and be on the lookout for the video tomorrow. But anyway, let's get into your take, shall we? So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Our first take comes to us from Sir Mystic de God. If the Bulls don't make the playoffs, Billy Donovan won't be coaching this team next season. I had a feeling there were going to be a lot of doomsday takes this go around, given everything that's going on with the Bulls and their 5-game losing streak. But look, if the Bulls somehow do not make the playoffs, and let's assume that it's not because of any major injuries to, say, DeRozan or Lavine, on top of the already injury issues that we've had for the Bulls already this season, and they just completely fell apart and they nosedive in the standings to the point where they miss the playoffs, which again is incredibly unlikely. Like, even if the Bulls finish out the rest of the schedule slightly below 500, they're still going to make the playoffs. But let's say something crazy happens, or say they fall to the 7th or 8th seed and they lose in the play-in tournament to the 9th or 10th seeded team, and the Bulls are for the most part healthy. Yeah, Billy Donovan would be gone. I don't think you can really give any leniency in that scenario. Like, the front office made massive win-now type moves this offseason by bringing in DeRozan, Lonzo, Caruso. Yes, I know there were injuries, but you had the big three for the most part healthy, and yet you still missed the playoffs. No, I know some people will probably say, oh, they'll give him some leeway because it's the first season with the new roster. It's only his second season as the Bulls head coach. But no, if the Bulls somehow missed the playoffs, Billy Donovan would be fired. There's no doubt in my mind. Not going to happen, though, because the Bulls will make the playoffs this season. Next, we've got TJ Views. DeMar DeRozan is going to make the Hall of Fame with his play from this season. Well, I don't think it would just be because of his play this season, although it certainly helps, especially if he secures a first-team All-NBA selection, which, even despite his recent slump, I think he's still on pace to be a first-team All-NBA player. If he wins the MVP, yeah, absolutely, that would all but secure it. But I think the chances of him winning the MVP have gone down pretty drastically in this 5-game losing streak. Not sure if you guys knew this, but Basketball Reference actually has a Hall of Fame probability rating, which takes into consideration things like championships, MVPs, finals MVPs, All-Star and All-NBA selections, as well as general statistics and records. It's a huge formula, but as of right now, DeRozan's Hall of Fame probability is only 20.7%, which I was a little surprised that it was that low. I thought it would be closer into the range of 40 to 50%, but I wouldn't say it's a lock that DeRozan is going to secure his Hall of Fame nomination based on this season, unless he either wins a championship, wins MVP, but I think getting selected first-team All-NBA, that will help out his chances. And if he continues to at least play close to this level that he has been playing this season for the next couple of years or so, closes out his career strong, then I would say he has about a 60% chance of making the Hall of Fame. Next, we've got Kirk Osgood. Vucevic cannot play on a team where he is the third option. So I'm not sure if you're suggesting that Vucevic just isn't good enough to be a third option on a team, as in he needs to be more of a role player or shouldn't really be relied upon as a third option, or if you're saying that he's only effective as the first option on a team like he was with the Magic. I assume it's that Vucevic is better served as a number one option on a bad team, and I would disagree. I don't think it's accurate to say that Vucevic can't play on a team as a third option. First of all, I think he's kind of past the point of being a number one option in his career in general. Like, even if he was placed on a bad team like the Magic, I don't necessarily think he would be putting up the kind of numbers he did last year. You know, Vucevic, I hate to say it, is slightly starting to decline. That doesn't mean I think he's a bad player, and certainly don't subscribe to the sentiment of a lot of Bulls fans who think we lost the trade for Vucevic and now needs to be traded himself because he's a liability. No, he's actually still a very good, productive, impactful player. And for the Bulls, despite his slight decline, he's still actually putting up decent numbers. Even if he's not the number one option, he can still be that third option on the team. We just need to see consistency from him. Like, let's not forget, despite his struggles this season, he's still averaging 18 and 11.5 rebounds on 47% shooting. That's pretty solid for a third option, if you ask me. Next, we've got, I guess the name is Penis. Okay, whether free agency or a trade, one of the big three will be gone after this season. I don't think that will be the case, but I also wouldn't be surprised if that ended up happening. Really, it's between Lavine and Vucevic, because DeRozan isn't going anywhere. He's not getting moved. Not after the performance he's been having and the fact that he just signed a 3-year deal. Lavine, yes, there is a possibility that he could walk in free agency, even though I think it's highly unlikely. And although I think it's unlikely Vucevic would be traded this offseason because he's on an expiring contract, he's still a good enough player that you could get some value for him in return. And so the trade value is there to other teams around the league. Again, I still think it's unlikely, but I wouldn't be shocked if it did happen. Next, we've got Marcelo Spirizzi. Bulls trade Zach Lavine for Don Mitchell. Don is a way better player than Zach, in my opinion. He has had insane playoff performances, unlike Zach. Not sure I've ever heard anyone call Donovan Mitchell Don, but maybe I'm just out of the loop on that one. As for the take, though, again, I expected these types of takes after what we've been seeing recently. And it's why I plan on making a video about Zach Lavine's free agency over the summer in my next video for tomorrow. But first of all, I would not consider Donovan Mitchell to be way better than Zach Lavine. I think they're pretty on par with each other in terms of their overall talent. Mitchell is a little younger and marginally better on defense than Zach is, but outside of that, they're pretty on par with each other, both elite level scorers. They are around the same when it comes to rebounds and assists. Lavine is actually a more efficient scorer than Donovan Mitchell is. The only thing that Mitchell has over Lavine is that he's on a winning team, and he has been throughout most of his career and has had some good playoff runs as a result. But that's not really on Zach. I mean, Donovan Mitchell has been fortunate enough to have been on a good team and good talent alongside him, while Zach has been deprived of that pretty much his whole career up until this season. So it's not a fair characterization for why Mitchell is better than Lavine. I think they're at the same level. And before Zach ran into his knee issues, I would probably put Lavine ahead of Donovan Mitchell. I can see why that narrative has changed now because Zach hasn't been looking 100% like himself, but still, that doesn't make Mitchell way better. And as far as the Bulls trading Lavine for Mitchell, I mean, I really don't see how this would make the Bulls that much better. Sure, Donovan Mitchell might look like a #1 option than Lavine does, and he's younger, and there have been rumors about Mitchell wanting out of Utah. Not sure how true that is, but either way, I don't see it happening. I do think this offseason will be interesting for Lavine's future and whether he remains with the Bulls or not, but getting traded for Donovan Mitchell, I just don't see it happening. Next, we've got Hoodie Shizno. Bulls will finish the season 44-38. So you think the Bulls are only going to win 5 more games for the rest of the season? Like, I know their schedule is pretty hard, which, by the way, the Bulls are ranked #1 in terms of strength of schedule for the rest of the season as of today. But even still, you'd have to think they're going to win more than 5 games. Like, just put it into perspective. Here's some of the teams the Bulls are going to be playing to close out the season. The Pistons, who they have tonight, the Cavs twice, one of which is going to be on Saturday, the Kings, the Raptors, the Pelicans, the Knicks, the Wizards, the Clippers, the Wolves, and the Hornets. Like, especially when we get Lonzo and Caruso back, the Bulls are going to win more than 5 of those games against these teams that I just mentioned at a minimum. And you would hope that they'll still be able to beat some of the upper echelon teams that are left on their schedule. Like, at least 1 or 2 of these games against the Jazz, the Celtics, the Bucks, the Suns, the Heat. Like, come on now. They're going to finish the season with more than just 5 wins to close out their schedule. What's funny is that had anyone said the Bulls were going to finish the season 44-38, you would say that's pretty solid and you would be happy about it. But now, because the Bulls have won so many games to start the season, the expectation has shifted much higher. Before the season, I had actually predicted the Bulls would win between 45 and 47 games, which it looks like might be trending in that direction. Next, we've got Jiggy James. Ayo is well on his way to becoming the guard version of Kawhi. Oh man. I haven't seen an Ayo to Kawhi comparison before, but to be honest, I kind of like it. Now, I don't think Ayo has that kind of ceiling. Like, that's taking it pretty far to say that a rookie is going to be a superstar and a top 5 player in the league. But as far as their skill set, I definitely can see what you mean. A player that is very crafty and a smart defender, doesn't necessarily have the offensive game yet, but you can see the potential for Ayo on the offensive side of the ball with his athleticism, his decision-making, and shot selection. Like, he definitely has the tools to become a very good scorer in the league. I don't know about over 22 points per game type of scorer, but I can see him getting to that 16 to 18 points per game range when he's in his prime. And I can see him becoming an elite defender later on down in his career. Again, he's got a lot of work to do. Like, he still has to get better to achieve this kind of feat. But he has the tools and the skills that are needed to get there. And above all, like Kawhi Leonard, Ayo is just a very poised and smart player, calm and collected. I talked about that the other night in my post-game video after the loss to the Sixers. I was praising just how smart of a player Ayo was and how he has been without Lonzo and Caruso. And without both of those guys, I truly do think that he has the highest basketball IQ on this Bulls team. And I don't even think that's an exaggeration at this point. Next, we've got Irish Lady. Because the Bulls are willing to go into the luxury tax, we will pick up Mitchell Robinson during the offseason. Interesting choice as an option to go into the luxury tax. Also, I'm by no means an expert when it comes to salary cap and luxury tax and luxury threshold, all that stuff. But I also believe you cannot go into the luxury tax by signing an outright free agent. It would have to be done in the form of a trade. But either way, well, first, let me start by saying I don't believe ownership is willing to go into the luxury tax as much as we like to think that they would. I'll believe that when I see it. I know that Michael Reinsdorf told Casey Johnson in an interview on the Bulls Talk podcast, but like, what else is he going to say? No, we're not going to be willing to go into the luxury tax to build a championship contending team. If he had said that, there would be a massive amount of backlash from Bulls fans. History shows the Bulls rarely go into the luxury tax, and that says all you need to know. Now, as far as Mitchell Robinson was actually a guy I wanted the Bulls to pick up last offseason as a great rim protector, and the Bulls do need a rim protector, but at the same time, I don't really think he's a game changer by any means, although it would be a big upgrade from what the Bulls currently have in the front court. And still, yes, I'm not sure how I feel about a guy who more or less ended Patrick Williams' season right from the get-go, whether it was intentional or not, still bothers me, but I guess I could put that behind me if it means adding a quality rim protector to this team. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end it there for this week. Feel free to leave your takes below in the comments or in the Discord server. The link to that can be found in the description. Don't forget, the Bulls will be taking on the Pistons later today. I'll have a live chat for that game, so be on the lookout for that. Until then, guys, as always, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan, as I do post daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.